Hello again. Welcome back to Asgard, and welcome back to Stacia. Now behind me, you will notice that I have been working on enchanting. These are all ender shelves all the way down through here, and I've been going through and doing a lot of enchanting and cataloging and leaving enough space so that we can fit everything in. I don't know for sure that I'm going to need these, but I do know that there's still some enchantments I don't have. But most of these are pretty well sorted. So starting at this end, you're going to go through like weapons and tools kind of thing, bows and stuff like that, until you get about to this point over in here, and this is kind of miscellaneous items and things. And then we start moving into armor, protections, and then down through here is primarily armor enchants. And we actually have a lot of them. A lot of enchanting has been done since the last episode. You can see down here I've kind of sorted things out a little bit. We have our enchantment applicator plugged up. I haven't actually started enchanting anything. The visuals are bugged in this. Like if I go in here, for example, and I say like, top, I right click to disable it, updates and shows that it's actually filled up, but it just, every time you open it, it breaks the rendering. And then down below these are, of course, ender sails that are powering these machines that are over here. And down below us here, that tank up there that's plugged up to the applicator is filled because I haven't started using it yet. But down here I'm running a fully sped up, like this thing, whenever it spawns blazes, it spawns a lot of blazes. The speeds on it are set to max. I poured some clocks and stuff. The blaze spawner already had a lot of speed upgrades, so it was actually pretty quick and easy to do that. And this has been pumping out quite a substantial amount of XP. And there we go. You can see it generates a lot of blazes at once. They die, near instantly. They're just immediately pushed over. And you can see this tank right here is almost filled up. I've been draining out all of this, like these three. So there's not a whole lot of XP, but once this fills up, it's only going to be going into really 3 places at that point and start kind of dwindling down. But just overnight, like while I was sleeping, it generated enough to basically fill up 2 of these jumbo tanks. It generated a lot of XP. So that will quickly back up at this point, I think. And I've been basically doing a lot of tome enchanting, and then I've kind of been winding down with just book enchants mostly. Now, one thing I do want to do, one thing I have been working on doing, unfortunately it doesn't work for like sea infusion, but I've been going through and like, for example, power 3, but I've been coming down here, I've been taking off my bracelets, which I do plan on redoing those without magnet effects. There we go. That time it worked. Maybe I can get sea infusion to work. I was trying earlier, but I couldn't get it to do it. I ran down the one that we had made last episode, and then I made these 3. And I plan to, once they get down to very damaged, I'm just going to disenchant them, get all of our enchants back, and then just, it seems like every time you enchant an anvil, you almost always get, like, every enchant. So it should be pretty easy to get more. And then I'm kind of just working my way down just to fill out these drawers so that we have all of our enchants slotted. Yeah, I don't know, maybe I'm just not... There we go. It seems kind of hit or miss to some degree. Okay, that time sea infusion did work. That's good, because I was thinking it just would not split that for some reason. Because I tried quite a few times before, but never could get it to work. And then I do need like a sea infusion 1. There we go. And at this point, I think I'm probably going to go ahead and disenchant this one. It's taken quite a few hits, and I'd rather just kind of get that broken down. There we go. But I'm just basically trying to get one of everything slotted. That way we've got them in places. I mean, granted, we could just have them go into like storage unless they're max level and then have them out here. But I'd rather just have one of everything so that we kind of just have it. Because why not? It's not that big of a space of these. Ender shelves are cheap. So, may as well. So that's something that I'll be working on and getting that finished out. But what I want to do now, because we didn't get to really any enchanting, any proper enchanting last episode, I want to go ahead and do just a little bit of enchanting here. And let's grab, we're going to enchant our sword, I think, first and foremost. and then I'll enchant armor and stuff. That's all going to be pretty straightforward. But we were talking about sword. We were looking heavily at sword last episode. So let's get some of the main enchants. I would like to have, I think, like Unbreaking. Let's grab a Soulbound. Let's get Beheading. And Beheading is one that we can use kind of as a perfect example here, because I do have a lot of these. And I don't have to really spread them around to other things, because Beheading is going to be just our sword kind of thing. Some of these others, like Unbreaking, I have to kind of use them on other things. Let's grab Life Mending, which is one I don't really have any intention of leveling, because Life Mending 3 is more than you'll ever need. And something I did notice, we can get Star Charged through just normal enchanting, which, if you recall, Star Charged is what goes on to ingots when they are supercharged. It's not supposed to be obtainable, but with apotheosis enchanting, it seems to be obtainable. Now, generally, whenever you Star Charge things, it's only going to go up to Star Charge 3. However, we have access to up to 7. So in theory, we could make Star Charged weapons that are like Star Charge 7, possibly even higher, with the enchantment applicator. And we could make something possibly that's just insanely OP, since we can get this, because you saw the difference when we supercharged something, you know, from no supercharge just to level 3, and the difference between like a level 2 and a level 3. But to go from a level 3 to a level 7, massively different. So if we get a lot of these Star Charge 7s, we may make some pieces that are just way over the top. Just way over the top. So that is kind of an option for us. And I'm not going to mess with our experience harvester. Some of those I'm not going to mess with right this second. Life Leech. I think I've got some extras of those, right? Yeah. Let's grab one of those. And a couple of our looting enchants. Okay, so let's pop over. We got quite a few books here. And I'll show you basically how we're going to be enchanting things. So if we take and we put in our sword and we put in, say, the Looting 3 book, we give this just a second. I'll probably throw some speed upgrades into this. But it's going to give us a Looting 3 sword, of course. So we can actually see our fluid XP. Now, if we take this Looting 3 sword and we put it back through with another Looting 3 book, then at this point we are going to get Looting 4. And then let's go ahead, let's throw on some sharpness. Just make it kind of a general purpose weapon. Let's grab like Unbreaking 3. Let's grab Soulbound. And we'll toss on some Life Mending. Oh, it actually does not want to apply. Okay, maybe we can't use the enchantment applicator for that. I think we'll have to use the anvil, because the anvil doesn't have a limit. So in that case, what we should be able to do, since this isn't able to go beyond the... I mean, we'll have to use the anvil. But what we should be able to do is use kind of a dummy one. Like Beheading 2 is the max. Like, for example, if you look here, it just goes up to Beheading 2. But then if we take this and apply another Beheading 2 book to it, there we go. We now have Beheading 3. And then we can come over, we can disenchant this off and get our Beheading 3 book. And then we should be able to just rinse and repeat and get a nice chunky Beheading book here. And there's Beheading 3. We'll go ahead and apply Beheading 3. A little bit of a long process, but there's Beheading 4. And so then we can disenchant that off and then rinse and repeat again. And we'll have to switch out items every so often, like basically just whenever we run out the enchantability on something. So like that sword, I couldn't enchant it anymore. But then we can just pick back up. I should be able to get a Beheading 5 out of this. So a little bit of a process. It'll take a little bit, but that's okay. We can get up to impossible enchants. Now I know in some cases there are some enchants that it won't have any effect on. Because they're going to be capped, basically. But stuff like sharpness, stuff like Beheading, generally will work. So let's see, can we get a Beheading 5? Here we go. There is Beheading 5. And then The anvil, there's no limit to how much we can enchant because of apotheosis, so we can... Oh, wow, it's only 35, 35 levels. Actually less than just adding a beheading 2 book for some reason. So we can apply that. So we'll have looting 4, sharpness 5, unbreaking 3, soulbound, life mending 3, beheading 5. Can we throw... Yeah, see, life leech, it's expensive. And we can just basically keep stacking those enchants onto there. And as you can see, beheading 5 was strangely cheap by comparison. Probably would have been best to just throw all this stuff onto a book and then put it onto the sword, like what all we were wanting to put on there initially. But I'm not that worried about it, because at the end of the day, this we can enchant like infinite amount of levels. So it's not a big deal, thanks to apotheosis. Now, I would like to, at this point, let's take these boots. I want to disenchant these boots. So protection 3, multi-jump 3, unbreaking 3. And then I want to take, and of course to overlevel enchants, we're going to have to use the enchantment applicator. So let's just start off. I want to focus on multi-jump 3, so I'm not going to add anything else to that just yet. Just to be able to use this for as long as I can. So there's a multi-jump 4. And then I'm going to need, of course, probably should have left the multi-jump that was on these instead of disenchanting it, but we can go ahead and use our dummy boots to make another multi-jump 4, and then just disenchant that off. And then apply that. And we're going to end up with multi-jump 5, which, if, I don't know for sure that this one will work. But for example, there's 1 jump, 2 jumps, 3 jumps, 4 jumps, 5 jumps. It does work. Okay. And comboed with this, like, we can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 jumps, and then shoot out, and then go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 jumps, and so on. So we can end up getting like a ton of jump height with this. Then we'll go ahead and do one more. We're going to go for protection 4, which is unobtainable through default methods within this pack. But using our enchantment applicator, we can definitely pull this off. Although I may have to get a faster fluid transfer method. So there's protection 4, and we're going to go ahead and shoot up for protection 5. Okay, so now our boots have multi-jump 5 and protection 5. Now you're going to notice this is still just an enchantment cost of 35. It's pretty much that way, so you don't have to worry too much. It doesn't really seem to go up like you would expect. Like, for example, if I took and I went to throw Unbreaking 3 on there, you can see it's 34 levels. If we made that into Unbreaking 4 or 5, it's still probably going to be about 35 levels. In my experience, it doesn't jump up. Now, there is some enchants that, you know, like some of the ones we looked at before that are like 60 levels. But then I took the books and I combined them together to make like, you know, what was it? I think it was like Beheading. Yeah, Beheading 2 was like 60 levels, but then Beheading 4 or 5 was like 30 levels, right? So it's kind of funny the way it works. It kind of breaks away in a lot of cases. Apotheosis kind of messes up the normal enchanting system, not necessarily in a bad way. It kind of allows for you to kind of enchant indefinitely almost. So we can keep pulling this off as we need to. If we need to upgrade it to like multi-jump 6, 7, 8, we can pull that off and then just apply the new enchants. Now later on, once we get our Botania setup fully moved over to this area, we are going to be going with some mana enchanting from Botania. And so in that case, let's say we have a sharpness 10 book. We can take that book, put it onto the pedestal with, say, a sword, enchant it onto the sword, get the book back. So we've got the sharpness 10 book and the sharpness 10 sword, stick them together on an anvil to get sharpness 11, disenchant, and rinse and repeat. And pretty much just endlessly rank up, because at that point we don't need a bunch of the books. We just need, like, for example, one sharpness 5 book, and we can just go with it. A little bit cheesy, I'll admit, but because it's not as much of like an effort that we would have to do as far as like putting the books on there, but we may use that for some of the higher level stuff, because it will make things very, very easy to get like sharpness 20 and fortune 20 and all, you know, all those crazy enchants. Now, another fun thing I want to mention that we're going to be doing that we can do with apotheosis is this sword has sharpness 5 on it. And as you know, sharpness and smite are incompatible with one another. However, with apotheosis, we can apply sharpness and smite onto the same sword. You can see it's a 66 enchantment cost. Unfortunately, I only have one smite 3 book at the moment, but I do plan on adding some high levels of smite to the sword as well, so that we have the best of both worlds. And they do stack. You know, I've showed off in the past having smite and sharpness. In other series, I've showed off having smite and sharpness on a sword can result in some massive damage, like the wither. So we will be applying that to this sword as well. Now, the last thing we're going to talk about, as far as kind of in the same vein as enchanting, is we're going to talk about affixes through apotheosis. So, you know, we've kind of mentioned these a little bit before, because I found that one book and didn't grab it in time because I kind of just was like derped. But if you take a look at items that have dropped from apotheosis that have an affix, you can see this item's enchantability is increased by 15. This item's enchantability is increased by 15. And we have, I think we've got a few other ones here. This one's just rare. And so what we'll do is we'll go through and grab all of these. Of course, I've disenchanted these. I've taken all the enchantments off of them. But they're still very useful to us. So now what we want to do is we want to make a soul campfire. One of these right here. And we're just going to go ahead, and there we go, there's that. And then what we'll do is we'll pop up, and we'll set this up somewhere kind of near our enchanting area, because we're going to be kind of using this for that same sort of stuff, for that affix work. And so I'm just going to put it in, I think, right here, and then I'll do a little border around it. And if we take a look at, like, say, the rare affix tome, it's going to be a tome of scrapping with a rare rarity shard. And the way we get this is we apply it onto a campfire. I was thinking only soul campfires work, maybe, and it shows any kind of campfire. But what we can do is we can just right click that onto there, and we can take that, and there we go, there's a rare rarity shard from that chest piece. And then let's go ahead, we'll throw on that, get a few of these little scraps that we want. That one sounds good. So anything with an affix, you want to be sure and hold on to that, because you can cook these up into shards. Now, of course, mythic ones are going to be super rare. I don't think ancient ones are even obtainable at this point with apotheosis. Go ahead and cook up that one too. And then what we're going to want to do is make one of these. We're going to make a rare affix tome, for example. The tome of scrapping is like that. Some of these, let's get some tomes of scrapping. I'd like to do that. I can't do that, okay. I don't want to use one of my good anvils. Let me go just make a junk one. So there we go. There's 8 tomes of scrapping. And then we're going to just take these, or well, it's a smithing table. So we'll just set this up like, say, here. I might move it. So we can take our tomes of scrapping, and let's throw in like our rare rarity shards. There's 7. Okay, I have to keep doing this. So we've got a bunch of the rare affix tomes and a common affix tome. This one's a mythic. But for example, then what we can do is we can take this, we can put it into there, and we could put in like this. Oh, wait, that goes first, right? Yeah. And you could see that, okay, that's armor 2.74. You could see normal iron armor is only 6. This is 8.74. That's because it has an extra 2.74 because of the affix there. And I believe you can get the enchantability as well, but what you get off of there is kind of random. You know, it says, even right here, can remove affixes, taking some of them as its own. So we can grab, for example, in this case, a little bit of extra armor. So we can apply that to like maybe the boots So we'll toss that in, 18 levels, and we get a rare affix tome with an extra 2.74 armor. And then what we could do is we could take our boots, throw those into there, and apply it. And you can see that the armor value goes from 6.52 up to 9.26. So it's a pretty substantial boost to our boots. I'm going to go ahead and take it. Now, if we ever wanted to get these off, it would be a little bit involved because we'd probably have to disenchant and then use our tome, which will break the item, as you saw, and then basically make new boots or whatever. And you can see that it adds the ironclad prefix to our Prismarine Tyrian steel boots. I will probably end up renaming all this stuff, but it does give it that cool little blue color. So after noticing that we get star charged, I don't plan on these being our end-all be-all armor and weapons and stuff, because we can take them even farther with that star charged. So might try to shoot for some really over-the-top crazy star charge 7 like triple S or max tier stuff down the road. Maybe set up some automation to make that a little bit more reasonable for us. Now next up, I want to go ahead and get a gluttony charm. This right here. So let me pop down and get that stuff together real quick. Okay, so there is our gluttony charm. And we'll just go ahead and equip this. It's going to go into the charm slot right down here. One of our charm slots. And I want to save our belt slot, I think, for a charm belt. So that we can add all these different charms in. Because, of course, Reliquary used to have a couple of these, but it's since expanded its selection and even includes some crazy ones like Guardian of Gaia, which makes it extremely powerful. Even with good armor, then we can just be like, nah, Guardian of Gaia can't see us. But what I would like to get today is something that can go in either a charm, ring, or necklace. I'm probably going to use... Yeah, so we're going to probably put this into our charm slot, I think. But we're going to make a charm talisman. So we're going to have to craft up just a couple things here. It's basically just a whole big process of getting a lot of crystallized amber. Okay, so we can go ahead and get our Wither Charm, our Antidote Charm, Void Charm, and Fire Charm. And then we can get our Charm Talisman. And you can see with this, right below where it says Poison, Wither, Fire, and Void Protection, it says on. Right click to toggle. We can just right click that and turn it on or off. We're going to leave it as on, and we will just equip that. It is complete protection. So for example, if I drop down a little bit of fire out here, you can see I'm not really taking any damage from this. I took a little bit of damage initially, but instead this is giving us fire resistance. And you can see it takes just a slight amount of durability damage, 1 durability every time that it has to apply the potion effect for 10 seconds. So it's going to last us a long time. And then what we can do is, for example, we can just pull this out anytime that we need to repair it. And we can just drop it into here and fully repair it. So that way we don't have to worry about any of those. There's other methods for kind of each one of those things. Of course, we already have void protection. But that's something that we really don't use a lot often. But Poison, Wither, Fire, fairly common effects. And this kind of gives us all-in-one protection with that for just the cost of a charm slot, which is quite nice. Now next up, I would like to go ahead and get us set up for protection charms. So what we're going to do is, let's just do that. And there's a few Blaze Charm fragments. Let's grab ourselves some leather. We are going to make ourselves a Blaze Charm, which when we have this on us, it's going to keep blazes from being able to see us. So we're pretty much immune to blazes. And then I would like to go ahead and make a charm belt, a mob charm belt. So we can go ahead and start adding stuff to this. I'd love to get the Gaia one. That just seems amazing. So just that, and 5 of any charm will work, and we'll get ourselves a charm belt. And then what we can do is we can just right click, and we can add in like Blaze Charm into here, and we can just add all of our charms into this. And get all those started, kind of slotted away. And then what we can do is we can just go in to our belt slot, which we're actually going to be getting rid of both of these. But for right now, we're going to get rid of Belt of Levitation. I don't find myself using that much. And we'll go ahead and put on our Charm Belt. And our Gluttony Charm, by the way, of course, that's one of my personal favorites. It makes eating really, really fast, and it'll work with our XP Jelly Babies, so we can just quickly right-click those instead of taking a bunch of time to eat them. Okay, now at this point, I need to get the rest of our Botania stuff moved over and get that totally set up because we're going to need mana for the next thing that I'd like to do. Okay, I've got a bunch of things laid out here, and I've been getting some things prepped. I did go ahead and make some flippers from Cyclic because my swim speed was actually quite a bit lower at the moment, so we're going to go ahead and throw those on. So that helps out. I went out to kill some Guardians, and I was like, I need to bump this up. Even though we are going to do some enchanting, which will increase our swim speed, this is still going to push it up over the top. And I'm actually having a lot of luck with beheading, with our current, beheading 5. I think I killed maybe 6 Guardians at most, and I got 5 heads. And I also made a trinket case because we're going to use that here in just a moment. And I've got laid out here a Tome of Peridia. We're going to try this out for shift right click to absorb levels, and we can store it into the Tome of Peridia. Tome of Peridia should be able to store quite a bit. I was looking at a few other options. Reliquary has a good one. But Tome of Peridia is just a whole lot easier for us to craft at this point. So we're going to go ahead and get that. I know its level cap is like really, really high. So that should work for us. And then I want to go ahead, first and foremost, I want to get a bunch of sparks. So there's 18 sparks. And I also want to go ahead and craft a botanical brewery. So this right here, that'll get some things out of my inventory. And let's go ahead and get a recessive spark augment and a dominant spark augment. And what we're going to be setting up over here is, this is going to be kind of like our mana storage for our personal mana use. So it's not going to be applied to anything automatic, like any kind of automatic systems or anything like that. It's just going to be for storing up mana. And we're going to go ahead and put a spark onto this and put a recessive augment onto that. So that way it can feed mana, of course, to any normal sparks as well as any dominant sparks. And what we're going to do, we're going to put one mana pool right here. And we're going to use that one. Actually, I tell you what, instead of having it there, let's have it here. So it's kind of like ground level, and we really won't access this area up here much. And then what we're going to do is put in mana pool area, like here. Maybe even fill this out a little bit more. But this is going to give us a lot of storage. So if we go through and we apply these sparks down, it's going to start sending all the mana it generates to these different mana pools. And then if we put down a spark over here and we put in our dominant spark augment, then all of those normal sparks are going to send their mana over to this mana pool. And the reason we're going to do that is just so we have a lot of mana storage. And very, very quick transfer, almost instantaneous transfer, as you just saw. It'll be just automatically sent over here, and we'll have a lot of mana to pull from before this system actually ends up filling up. And might as well, I'll probably go ahead and make a few more mana pools for this, but we're going to go ahead and just fill this out. I may remove the steps for this and just have it like a platform, since we're not actually going to be climbing up and accessing this. And so then what we're going to do now is we're going to get ourselves a mana mirror. And so what we can do is we can take this and we're going to use this to access our dominant pool that's right here. So just sneak right click and it's going to link it, and you could see we have mana there, accessible here. And so it can feed mana to anything that requires mana. So for example, I'm just going to put away our mana tablet so we no longer have that. And if we want to fly, we can still fly using mana just directly from the mana mirror. Also, any other kind of baubles that we use can pull directly from this mana mirror. So that way, there's no sense in having a mana tablet once we have a nice, solid set of mana generation that's just like a constant thing. And this is going to give us basically just more or less unlimited flight. Of course, still having the cooldown with the Flugel Tiara, but giving us a whole lot more flight power. And before too long, we're going to push for the Eye of the Flugel. We're going to do some, because we're starting to get a lot of armor upgrades and stuff, and we're now immune to Wither and all that nice stuff. So we're probably going to push on to the Gaia Mark II here soon and try to get that Eye of the Flugel. Okay, so now let's pop back down, and we're going to get a couple more things. We're going to go ahead and get a Cloak of Balance, which is going to basically have the damage that we take once every 10 seconds, inflicting half the damage to us, inflicting the other half to the enemy that inflicted it to us. And it gives us something nice to use for our body slot, and apparently there's a quest for it. I didn't even realize. I haven't even looked at quests in a bit. So, okay, and then they want us to also get a Cloak of Sin. We'll craft that at some point. It's not a big rush. And then let's go ahead and get ourselves a Sojourner Sash. And then I just want to go ahead and just directly upgrade that into a Globetrotter Sash, which is just like a better version of it. And I guess that completed a quest also, except they want the Planestrider Sash. And we're going to now remove our other belt that we have, the Unstable Gifts, which is, it's a cool belt, but it's not altogether useful, and then I end up getting slow fall at really awkward times and stuff like that. So Globetrotter Sash is going to give us a lot more reliable effect, because we're going to have quite a bit of speed added, as you can see, kind of making up for losing our refined armor that we had before. And we can kind of just zoom around the base at this point. And then I want to get our Botanical Brewery, and I guess we're going to pop over to this area, because I still don't have like the bulk of our progression-based stuff set up. I was planning on setting it up between cuts, but I just haven't figured out exactly where I want it to go, to be perfectly honest. So, but what we're going to do is we are going to make ourselves some good old Tainted Blood. I love these things. We tend to generally make them most series that have Botania. Really the best necklace slot option ever, in my opinion. But what we can do is we can put it on our Tainted Blood, and we can do different effects to this. I'm going to be making two today. First up, we're going to be making Speed, which is Netherwort, Sugar, and Redstone. So we'll just right click those onto there. And then it's going to start sending mana over and getting that crafted up for us. Okay, our Tainted Blood pendant, it just got finished. So we have the Brew of Fleetfoot. And then we're going to go ahead and just set up one more here. So this one's going to take Glowstone, Netherwort, and a Gas Tier. And then we are going to be making the Brew of Revitalization, which gives us constant effect regeneration too. Now this one does have a pretty high mana cost, so just kind of bear that in mind. It's not something that we would want to run all the time. This one is going to give us constant effect speed too, so you can see we're even faster now. And this is, of course, not on concrete. So we do have quite a bit of nice speed there. The only thing we're not going to have is just kind of the jump boost that we had before with those higher jumps. But now we're going to have a whole lot more of those jumps. And then, of course, we're going to have flight and not have to worry about refilling up our mana to kind of upkeep that. So we should be in a pretty good spot as far as baubles go. I may make these other ones, though. Strength would be nice as well. But I don't know. We'll see. I don't know that we'll really need more, because our sword is going to deal sufficient damage, I think, without going too crazy with potion effects. Alright, so there we go. There is our other necklace. And this one we're just going to dump into the trinket case for now and just hold on to it for kind of later use. For maybe, maybe if we're fighting a boss, or if we are maybe farming some XP for Astral, because I'm still not quite capped on Astral. I think I'm at like 35, 36, something like that, last I checked. Now the last thing I want to do is I want to get some upgrades for our backpack, because we've kind of transitioned at this point to only using one backpack. We could also go ahead and upgrade this to the netherite backpack, so we might do that as well. But the main upgrades that I want out of this are, I would like to have a smelting upgrade. I don't know how much I'll really use it, but it would be nice to have it, I think. So let's go ahead. We are going to be going with, well, 3 upgrades today, and there's one that I would like to get, which is the netherite backpack down the road. We're going to be setting up a miner for netherite, so we don't have to worry too much about that. But for right now, we're just going to wait on the storage space upgrades. I like all this speed. I'm enjoying it a lot. So let's go ahead, let's get that, and then let's get our smelting upgrade, let's get our crafting upgrade, and then let's get our stonecutter upgrade. And I also want to, let's go ahead and throw this into there and just get a netherite backpack. And that's kept all of our inventory, that's good. And this one does have 7 upgrade slots. I don't think we're going to use all 7 of those. Because there's just not that much that I want. There's a bunch of other stuff in here, like if we wanted to get into filtering, feeding, compacting, void, restocking, deposit. None of this stuff I really care about. I just want a place to dump things when I'm out in the world doing something. There's tool swapper, but just a lot of this I just don't care that much about. I just really want, we'll probably get some stack upgrade tier 4s. But the other upgrade that I would like to get is the one that's going to keep it from ever being able to despawn, void, be destroyed by any means. Aside from me, I guess, physically maybe throwing it into the trash. I think that would be about the only way that it could be destroyed, which I don't intend to do, so hopefully I don't do that. It's kind of an expensive upgrade, but that's okay. All this is actually super, well, end crystals are super cheap, and nether stars are easy enough to get. So we're going to go ahead and get that, and then we can take and we can throw in our upgrades. And we're also going to go ahead now, since we're really just using one backpack at this point, we're going to go ahead and just equip this onto our back. I don't even know, it is visible under our mess of stuff. You can see our tainted pendant there. And at this point now we can just open it with a hotkey and access everything that's in that. So it's basically just like my storage dump, more or less, when I'm out doing things. And then if I'm, crafting or something, and I can click here and there's a stone cutter, there's a crafting table, and there is a smelter. And of course, if we leave one of these open, we'll always have it open there, so quite handy, and we can kind of lose the handheld crafting table. And that kind of cuts a few things out of our inventory and lets us use our back slot for something useful. Okay, and so right now we pretty much have all of our bauble slots filled except for our angel ring, our climb star, our hands, and we have 1 free ring slot, and that ring slot we're going to be filling here soon with a ring of Odin. So the hand slots, what I'd really like to get are the Curious Knuckles, because I believe the effects of these will stack. But I believe these are just rare finds in loot, is how we're going to come across them within this pack. Because I don't really need climbing gloves, honestly. They're good in packs when you don't have flight. I think Farming Valley, I used them quite a bit. But I think within this pack, I don't really see much use in them. Considering we can jump and fly all day. Since we do have full flight, we might lose the leap. So maybe down the road I might get probably a ring of far reach. I do like that one quite a bit. So I may end up changing our discount ring for that. I think that might be the only other change. But beyond that, I think I like all of this. It does mean we can't have a bobbly heart container. And now we just kind of have to start going through the motions, getting our stuff like really high level enchanted, and getting it buffed up a bit, and then we should be good. So, but I think with that, I think we're going to end out this episode here, and that's pretty much going to wind down kind of our equipment stuff. We'll continue upgrading our equipment and stuff through enchantments, and then we'll get a couple things from the Gaia Guardian Mark II. We're going to be tackling that here pretty soon, because it should be fairly easy, I think, at this point. We're going to be pretty overgeared for it. Honestly, if you have Wither immunity, Gaia Guardian becomes like way easier. That alone. So Witherless Rose or something like that makes him substantially easier. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you did, as always, be sure and hit that like button and go ahead and subscribe if you're not already to stay updated with when new videos come out. And I hope to see you guys next time. So until then, as always, do take care, stay safe. I'll see you guys then.